Today we have to tread very carefully, viewers, because this right here is what they call the beast of the green hell. Now I know that sounds a bit over the top, like one of those mythical monsters that your grandmother told you stories about as a child to scare you, but in reality what it is possibly even scarier. That's because it is an even more potent version of AMG's already wild top-of-the-range sports car, the GT. It's called the GTR, and I'm here at the Buddh International Circuit to get a few really quick laps in it. And while I'm mentally preparing myself for the GTR, let me quickly tell you what separates it from the lesser GTS. You get AMG's new vertical slatted Panamericana grille, now standard on all versions of the GT. The front bumpers on the R are more aggressive, and you'll find a really serious looking diffuser poking out the back with the exhaust pipes integrated into it. There's this big adjustable wing, and the lightweight, chrome ringed, forged alloy wheels are delightfully retro. But the biggest change is how much wider the car is. It really gives it a serious stance, like a DTM race car for the road. Now the cabin of the AMG GTR is very similar to that of the AMG GTS that we saw a few years ago. Sure, there's a bit more Alcantara like here on the steering wheel, but apart from that, it is the same very focused yet very luxurious place it always used to be. There's this great center console that stretches all the way back here with the control knobs shaped like the 8 cylinders of the V8 engine. There is still the very annoyingly placed gear selector, which is way back here, so you really have to stretch around. But apart from that, it really gets you into the mood of driving and driving fast. Now I wanted to form a bit of an impression of the car first, so I switched it to Sport Plus mode and went hell for leather. Thing is, Sport Plus is properly, earth-shatteringly loud. In the old car you'd hear a nice pop-pop sound from the exhaust. Now it makes a bang like an assault rifle. Let me just quieten that down for you a little bit. Now I'm back in comfort mode so you can hear me, and what I can tell you is that the AMG GTR is definitely a whole lot louder than the GTS. Whether you're driving it in comfort mode, sport or race, it's just a whole lot more music to your ears, and it sounds good. Obviously the final verdict on this car will come when we take it out onto the road, because then we can tell you how much of it is GT and how much of it is R. For now, here on the track though, I can tell you that it feels very, very agile. It just loves to cut into corners. It's gripping surprisingly well. Where the GTS was very happy to swing its tail out, this one is a lot more tied down to the track. It is a lot more grip, whether it's from the aero, or from the tires, or from the widened track, either which way. Much of this agility is thanks to the new rear wheel steering, which turns the rear wheel slightly in the opposite direction of the fronts up to 100 kph for a tighter turning circle, and in the same direction as the fronts above 100 kph for greater stability. That also kind of depends where you have the drive mode switch set to. Right now it's in comfort, but give me 1 second and I will put it into race mode. Turn the traction control off. At my own risk, I know. And then you get this 9-stage traction control switch, ranging from completely on to, it's in the red zone now, and I'm a little nervous, but we're on a track, so I guess so. Let's go. Oh my god, this is still a 585 horsepower rear wheel drive AMG. So believe me when I say, if you poke it too hard, it will poke you back. Oh my god. Should I risk putting the traction control a little further off? Come on, I'm on the big white knee at the end. Oh, it's stepping out a little bit. Definitely an AMG Sweaty, exhausted, slightly deaf, but with a big grin on my face, it's time to head back into the pit lane. And while the AMG GTR certainly stole the show, also on hand was the AMG GT Roadster, and we got a similarly brief 3 laps on the circuit with it. So Mercedes also took the opportunity to launch this, the AMG GT convertible. Now you'll notice there's no suffix at the end of that. It's not a GTS, it's not a GTC, it's not a GTR for sure, it's just the GT. And that means it comes in a 476 horsepower state of tune, which is the lowest you can get in the AMG GT range. It does still have 630 Newton meters of torque, which although 70 less than the R, is definitely still quite a lot, I'm sure you'll agree. Now obviously this doesn't feel as fast, or as loud, or as wild, or as edgy, or as hard as the AMG GTR, but then it's not supposed to, is it? This is the AMG GT convertible. It's for cruising. It's about having the wind in your hair. It's a lot more comfortable too, and people will appreciate that. And as for the power, well, it's plenty enough, and more to the point, you can hear that wonderful noise oh so much clearer. So while this may not have the S or the C or the R suffix at the end of it, it's still an AMG GT, and therefore it's still a sports car. So the GT Roadster cost 2.19 crore rupees, while the GTR cost 2.23 crores, which for the performance sounds about right. While the GT Roadster is a conventional 2-seat convertible, the GTR is a bit harder to define. On one hand, it's the powerful range topper, and on the other, it's the serious track day special. And it seems like the best of both worlds. We still have to drive it on the road to tell you how good it is as a GT, but after an exciting blitz around the track, we can definitely confirm that it deserves the R in its name.